Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Mission Snapshot. As always, we are so grateful for you to be here because we enjoy sharing these stories with you from the mission field. Today is Thursday, which means that Veronica is here in the studio with me. And last time we were in Nepal, but where are we going to be today?
Surprise, we're back in India.
India. Okay. So we're back in India.
We are back in India. So I was able to connect with our director in India and some of our, one of our workers that helps maintain our evening schools. Talked with them at length yesterday. It was a wonderful conversation and got just some amazing stories. And so I'd like to share them.
Yay!
Yay!
You have way more stories than we have time for, so we're probably going to hear these stories over several episodes. So if you're interested, make sure you keep coming back because they'll be great.
More.
That's right. Okay, where's our first story?
So the first story is going to be from Kadatur. And we've talked about that school before. Some wonderful things happening there. So this story is, and all of the stories that I heard from them yesterday are all about families and children who only joined the evening schools during the lockdown.
Okay.
So they may have known about the school ahead, before that, but this is all very current stories of kids and lives that are being changed right now during COVID and the lockdowns.
Wow. Okay.
So that's exciting to me, just knowing that there's this much going on during all of this craziness.
Yes.
So, so this story is about a family. It was parents and two children and their grandmother, and once the lockdown started, with families being stuck together, we've seen it here in the U.S. where it doesn't always end well. And by that, I mean, family life is not always peachy. And so sadly for the two children involved, a boy and girl, their parents decided that family life was not for them. And so at some point during the lockdown, the father said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to leave you." He went and with another woman.
Wow. And
left the family. And just a few weeks later, the mother did the same thing. She abandoned her kids, left them with the grandmother, and went off with another gentleman. And I mean, I can't even imagine under the best of circumstances the things that does to children.
Wow.
That's horrible. And, even when that happens in a well-off country or a place where jobs are available, that's still tremendously hard for a grandparent to be left with that responsibility alone. And so you can imagine in a village it's a poor village, there's not a lot going on anyway.
Yes.
There's a lockdown, there's definitely not a lot going on.
Yeah.
The options for an older woman to be able to provide, not just for herself, but now for two children, I mean, there's really just nothing there. She can't do anything.
No.
So they really began to struggle, and she didn't know what to do.
Wow.
And so it came to a point, I'm not sure how long after the parents had left, but she basically came to the point of thinking, all I can do is die, and we just have to die. And she was contemplating killing the children and herself because she did not know how to feed them, how to feed herself, how to keep going.
Wow.
She had no options.
No.
And then she remembered the evening school. And I know that God put that thought in her mind to say, wait, there is hope.
Right.
And she said, okay, there's an evening school. Let me see what they can do for these kids, for my grandkids. And so she took the kids to the evening school and she enrolled them and said, you need to come here. And from the moment they stepped in the door that first night, the kids felt love that they hadn't felt in maybe months. Again, I don't know the exact timeline of how long their parents had been gone, but to feel such devastation of your parents walking away from you, and what that must do to your character and your discipline. I mean, and then to immediately walk into an environment and just feel accepted, comforted, love. I mean, it just overwhelming. They had food, a full stomach for the first time in, maybe months. Just unbelievable. And the grandma within a couple days came to the school with them and was telling the teachers just, unbelievable gratitude and thanks for helping her, because she was at the point of death, of thinking that that's the only option. And instead now she can focus on just making her, helping herself survive, but she knows there's an option for the kids. And giving them that hope has renewed her hope as well. And so it's just a wonderful story. So they are thriving in the school, and they have, just a connection that is unbelievable with the teachers and with the church. And, and the grandmother's just so thankful, because she doesn't know what would have happened if that hadn't come about. So.
And I know the teacher of that school, Sister Debbie.
Yeah.
And she really cares about all of the children who come. So I can see her hugging these kids and just welcoming them in. So I'm just I can see her doing it. So it makes a lot of sense, and I'm thankful that she is the teacher there in Kadator. And I'm sure that your next story is similar to this, but I want to let viewers know that, as a reminder, that during the COVID lockdown, the only thing that they could do was feed the children and kind of talk to the kids while they were feeding, because the lockdown was like, we can't have school, we can't do anything. And I just want to thank the donors for continuing to donate toward the evening schools during the lockdown, because this is why the schools have been able to keep the doors open, keep the food going, saving lives. And so for those of you who've donated to the evening schools, you have a part in this story, and saving the lives of 3 people at least, just in this story.
That's the tip of the iceberg.
I know. I know.
But absolutely. That is why, our donors are so important, because, through your prayers, but also through what you can give, it definitely is saving lives. We've seen it more in the last year than ever before. But it was true before the lockdown, and it's even more true now with the new situations. And the regular schools are still not open. So this is still really the only option for kids if they want any kind of tutoring or food or any help at all. I mean, it's still their only option. So we're going on a year where this is all they have. So it's very important.
I find that story really is so important. And we've heard from other evening schools stories and Bible worker stories that these schools are like the only thing open and available in the villages that don't have access to city, like life in the city and the resources there. And so it's so important. These schools are a lifeline for a lot of people. So
it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So
our next story.
Let's move on to the next story. So now we're going over to Indranagar.
Okay. And this is tiny. I just want to let people know that of the schools that are tiny, in the churches that are tiny, this is tinier.
This is the smallest.
That's a small little school.
Small church. And it is tiny. The village itself is small, and pretty much all of the kids who are in the village, because there aren't very many, they all pretty much go to the evening school. And I mean, even before lockdowns, that was the place, because there's nothing else there. So we're going to talk about a girl. She's in the 5th grade, and she was actually not just her parents, she was against the evening schools. So she has a goal in her life. She wants to embrace education so that she can do something better with her life than where her parents are at and the village that she's in. So it is, she's a determined child, and she wants to get to better her life. And so going to school and getting additional tutoring and stuff was very important to her. So before the lockdowns, she was actually going to a paid tutoring center that was closer to her home than the evening school is. But being that it's a very poor village and the parents couldn't they were trying to afford that for her, but they couldn't really keep it up.
Right.
And so, and then the lockdowns hit and it closed anyway. They couldn't have that open.
Right.
And so for a while, she didn't really know what to do. She was, kind of discouraged. And she was afraid of going to the evening school because she thought that the moment she stepped foot, they would try and convert her. Like many families, they're a strong Hindu family. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't want to change what I believe. I don't want to go somewhere where they're going to try and take this away from me and give me something else. And so she just didn't want to give it a try. But during the lockdowns, being that there was nothing else going on, nothing else available, her parents were like, well, why don't we just check it out? Just try. And so when she finally did come to the school, she was very surprised and pleasantly shocked, and to find that nobody looked down on her because she was Hindu. No one treated her differently because she was poor. Nobody tried to stuff Christianity down her throat, and nobody rebuked her for being Hindu. And she was just not sure what to think of it, really. But as she kept going, because she thought, okay, well, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be, and they are helping me with school, and this food's good, So she kept going, and she is now one of the kind of most interactive children there. Wow. When it comes to the lessons, and she enjoys all the things that she's learning, including Bible memorization and songs. Mm-hmm. And it's just been a huge thing, and it's a big influence on her parents as well, that they have seen, wow, these Christians are not judging or judging us for our beliefs or trying to change us. They are simply sharing what they believe, but no judgment. And so she noticed also that the kids reacted differently. So not just the teachers, but the other students who were there were kind and respectful and polite.
Wow.
And she said, well, that's nothing like the paid tutor center that I used to go to. At the other center, the kids were very disruptive and loud, and the teachers would take no one-on-one time with the kids, and it was very hard to really learn. I mean, it was a kind of disconnected feeling. Mm-hmm. And here, the teachers take a specific interest in each child and make sure that they are all understanding what they're being taught. And she's just like, this is so different. And so now she actually wants to bring some of her friends from the other tutor center to the evening school, because she said, you have to experience this. It's so great.
That's so cool.
So it's just a complete change of attitude from her toward the evening school. So it's a wonderful experience. So hopefully soon they will be part of the church as well. But but it's just a great example of how we can't go in with a judgmental attitude at all toward others, but simple friendship and kindness.
Yeah. Now, that's one of, we've heard that a lot from the stories that you've shared from parents who realize that their children aren't judged if they're incredibly poor, or if they happen to be Hindu or Muslim or anything. They're just welcomed into the church. And so I understand that that's exactly how they would be. They're great. We have great teachers and great Bible workers who oversee the spiritual development of the children. So that does not surprise me, but I'm really glad for that one.
Yes. So I have one more story, and this is specifically for our donors. It's something that our director in India really wanted to get out and share. And it's not just a story, it's also a prayer request. And I'm going to step on Christina's toes just a little bit, because it's actually a Bible worker story.
She will not mind.
But it's something that is very powerful and needs to be shared. So we're going to talk about a couple Bible workers, a couple female Bible workers. And this happened just a week ago or less. As they were going around just door to door, handing out pamphlets and just talking with people, and going down some side streets of the city, they were suddenly stopped. There was a truck that kind of pulled in front of them and blocked them.
Wow.
And the gentleman in the truck started yelling at them and saying, what are you doing? I've been watching you for a while. I've been going up and down the streets, knocking on doors with pamphlets. They had flyers in their hand. He grabs the flyers out of their hands and throws them. What are you doing? What gives you the right to do these things? And they were a little shocked, as you would expect. But they responded. They did not fear, and they said, well, we're telling, of our God, of Jesus, the Creator, who made you and me. Wow. And he said, how dare you say these things to me? Who do you think you are? And can't you read what's on my truck? And his truck had, words from the Hindu temple or religion on them, and pictures of all the idols, the Hindu idols and gods. And, and they said, well, I'm sorry, but we're allowed to go door to door and talk with people, and he said, no, this is wrong. You should die for what you're doing. He pulled out his wallet and he pulled out business cards. Do you know who these people are? They're very influential people and, powerful people, and they will stop you, and this is wrong. And he started filming them and taking pictures of them. I'm going to post all of this on social media, and you will be stopped. And this is, you are doing horrible things. And they said, I'm sorry, but whatever you think you can do to us, our God is with us. And he said, well, I have petrol. I should just throw it on you and burn you now. And and they said, well, if you can try, but our God will save us. And while he is talking with them, there's a woman in an apartment, right on that street, and hears this, and she comes running down, and she says, you are so right, sir. They have no right to do this, and they should die for what they're doing. And she's defending the gentleman who stopped them. And they couldn't believe what they were hearing, but they just said, our God is with us, and we have a right to go and and share with others about God. Right. We're not doing anything wrong. And so, after this encounter ended, they, tried to get a hold of our director and, tell him what was happening. And it kind of he was actually in the process of filming. And so, it took a while to connect with him. And when he's listening to the story, and he's just, oh my goodness. And, immediately wanting to pray for them. And they said, no. It's okay. We know God is with us. We have no fear because God is with us. And they said that, and that had actually been the first verse that our director had read that morning. Do not fear, for the Lord thy God is with you. And that's what they said. And that, they're like, what are we supposed to do? This is God's work. Yeah. And they actually also shared with him that, so they're both married and have a family. And usually, as they go out to do their work, their husbands are supportive, but they'll say things like, have a good day, and, try not to get into trouble, try not to cause issues, say, just be careful and, but go do your work. Yeah. So both of them that morning, their husbands actually said, if you die today, don't worry. We will take care of the children. Wow. Do not stop God's work.
Wow.
They had no idea how true those words might be. I mean, those are things that they would never, before it was like, don't ruffle feathers,
That's right.
Just be careful.
Yeah.
And that day, God put it in the mouths of those husbands to say, if you happen to die, don't worry. We will take care of the children. Wow. Which is significant on many levels.
Yeah, that we won't go into. That's what I was thinking.
Into that part. But just the fact that, for them to say something different and to be that different, that
precise.
Specific.
Yeah.
So, just amazing.
Wow.
And the women also told Israel, our director there, they said, look, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're not going to, because the man had yelled at them and said, if I see you on these streets again, I will burn you, I will kill you. And they said, we're going to go back to that street and pick up where we left off. And we're going to pray for him and he will be converted.
and I don't doubt that he will.
It's been said, it will happen. And so as our director was sharing this story with me, and all I could do was shake my head, and I almost cried, and just the power of faith that they have, that we should all have. And when we're confronted with something that drastic, we should not cower in fear.
No.
There's no fear. God is with us. And so the prayer request that he wanted to make sure went out to all of us here in the office, as well as all of our donors, to please pray for our Bible workers and those working for God in India, because it is getting more real for them. The threats against them, the violence that is being threatened against them. And, it won't be long before it's no longer a threat. It is real. And so they desperately need our prayers. And those who are threatening need our prayers.
Yes.
Because they can be converted. They can, the Holy Spirit can work on their hearts just like anyone else.
We've seen it with other Bible workers whose lives were threatened.
Yes.
And the people who were threatening them became members of their church.
Yep.
So,
we have examples. This can happen. And so we do just want to ask, the donors and to join us in prayer for them, because these are, times are getting harder.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure it won't be too much longer, and we'll see things like that, even here in the States.
Well, it's a testament to God's protection, because if the man was that angry and he had the fuel in his car, there really wasn't anything stopping him except an angel of the Lord saying,
right then. Absolutely.
Don't. So the sheer fact he didn't go through with what he planned to do, even with someone there encouraging him to do it, that's a testament to God's protection.
Yeah. But it just had to be shared.
Of course it did.
It just had to be shared. But it's just amazing to see, and we'll hear it more through some other stories that I will share in the weeks to come. Just how amazing God is.
Oh, so thank you so much for bringing these. We really appreciate this. And if you would like to know more about our Bible Worker program or our evening school program or any other Jesus for Asia project, we invite you to go to jesusforasia.org and check out the more than 60 projects that we have there. And while you are looking at the projects, we invite you to pray for them as well. And if you would like to partner with us financially, that would be great. But your prayers are really needed in this time where things are getting harder and harder for those who are sharing God's love and His Word on the front lines. So please do pray. If you are watching this on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. And if you're watching this on Facebook, I invite you to like our page, and that way you will know when we go live. And we'd love to have you come back so that you can hear more stories from the mission field. Well, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing these fabulous stories about how God is working marvelously in these days, these recent days. It's been fabulous. And thank you for joining us. This has been your Mission Snapshot.